Hey there, welcome to CT Collectibles. I am C, and this is your weekly sports card chart blast where we take a look at the price action of our favorite collectibles. Price is truth. Doesn't matter what I think. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't even matter what the CEO of Leaf Trading Cards thinks. It really only matters what the market thinks. It will tell you if you're right or wrong if you're willing to listen to it. So the indices from Card Ladder, we'll start off with them. Something like that. Whatever. Culture 51 green, tennis green. Well, things are green. Who knows? Who knew that? Pokemon, which was one of your bigger losers last week, is showing a little bit of upside here in the pre-war vintage. A little bit of green as well. Hockey, very flat. We're heading into the preseason, just getting underway here, so maybe time for speculation. We'll take a look at some of that at the end here, but we've got some baseball, we've got some football, we've got some hockey, and then we've got some real-life stuff at the end here. Basketball, football, racing, wrestling, all that kind of good stuff. Showing red, a lot of the major sports are. So let's move on and see what we see. Pop culture, it's up a little bit, and Darth Vader's not one of those. There was really actually no movement in that index here, but if you are looking for that 1977 Darth Vader in the Wonder Bread set and a PSA 8 bottom of the range here, so Risk Reward sets up fairly nicely. We'll see. It works until it doesn't. Someday maybe it breaks below this, and then you don't want to be in anymore. You can get it cheaper, but it's a pretty cheap card, so no worries on that one here. Tennis index up, and Roger Federer. I mean, who else are you going to collect in the tennis index for the most part, right? So Roger Federer with a big move over the past couple of weeks here, bringing it up to resistance on very little volume. We know what to do with that. Not the most expensive card in the world, but maybe you can get it for a few bucks cheaper if you are patient. Another Roger Federer. It's kind of like golf. It's like Tiger Woods, right? So the golf index, Tiger Woods, Nicklaus, right? So we have Federer, maybe a McEnroe or something like that. I don't know. So anyways, same thing with this card. Whatever this card is, Net Pro 2003, great. Bottom of the again, it's just it's broken down. And it's just kind of ping-ponging around a little bit here, and if you want that card, again, well, this one's a little bit more expensive. Okay, pay attention. Maybe don't do anything with it just yet. So you could save yourself some money on that one here. So any pullbacks need to be bought pretty quickly. This is kind of your range, and I think if you're patient, maybe you get it a little bit lower. So pre-war vintage, Babe Ruth at 1933, a Gaudi Sports King continues to put in new highs. It's actually a pretty recent sale within the last few days here. So people with money, inflation doesn't really bother them too much. If your grocery bills are going up a bit and gas and all that kind of stuff, they don't care for the most part. I mean, their discretionary income is unchanged for the most part. And you're talking about a couple $100 out of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, or whatever that they have lying around to do this kind of stuff here. So those higher end cards, the Babe Ruth, the Mickey Mantles, they can still attract attention. It's the cards like that are kind of in the middle that worry me a little bit. The people that have to save up a little bit and buy a card for a couple $1,000s. They're the ones that are going to kind of feel this a little bit more. So anyways, Babe Ruth, new highs, by goats, right? Ted Williams, uptrend is still intact here. We had a monster spike here, and that was we know what to do with that at this point. It's like, okay, one person thinks that's the price. A lot of people think this is the price. Forget about it. But you're brought back down into this area of support here. So if you're looking for a nice 51 Bowman, Ted Williams, and a PSA 5, that may set up all right for you here. Again, with that trend being up, and it's again not the most expensive card in the world. 52 Topps Mickey Mantle is one of the, well, not this one, but the most expensive card in the world in a different grade. It is. So sitting at support here, kind of get the feeling that the more you test this, the weaker that it gets here. So that's a big move. Bring it down. The next one could pop up just a little bit here, but there could be a little bit more downside on that particular card. Willie Mays in the 52 Topps as well, chugging his way upwards and onwards here. So again, this is kind of the price for now. When it gets below this price, it is a bit of a one-off at this point here. You had some people wisely buying in here, and it traveled up, and then someone said, "Oh, I remember that price," and they bought it. Now there's a lot of different, not all these PSAs, threes or whatever are created the same. We get that. So the price is the price here. The trend is up. We'd like to see this continue, and maybe a little breakout at some point here. But again, Willie Mays, if you really want it, then go for it. But it's right now it's just kind of it's just muddling around for a bit here. Who knows what's going to happen? So Sandy Koufax in a PSA 4 in the downtrend, bringing it back down to this longer term trend line, perhaps. So maybe that's close enough, or maybe this has a little bit more downside work to do here. So either wait for it to return to this level, or you wait for a breakout, and that's when you pull the trigger on that one. Jim Brown in a PSA 5 traveling down. So breaking out of this range is a good sign as long as it can hold it, and it's held several times. So now it's starting to leak back in, and so you're not a lot of buying in this area here. So you do have kind of this gap where there's not a lot of market memory. So bottom of the range, who knows? This is kind of one I would just maybe sit and watch at that price point and see what happens here. Gale Sayers in a PSA 7 testing the top of his range. So as long as it's holding this, then risk reward sets up favorably. If it comes back in again, you've got that market memory that they could fall into, and you could see this card substantially lower. So a lot of these cards, they just kind of travel in the same direction, doing the same thing here. So that's, when we talk about cards as an asset class, that's why we say that, and then you can subdivide into other asset classes, but they all kind of do the same thing for the most part. All right, Mike Trout 2011 update. PSA 10 broken down trend. Now it's just consolidating bottom of the range, and got a nice rip off of this one. So 2,500 to 1,500 to call it 2,000 or something like that is going to be your range here, and sitting near the top of that one. So until we get some more sustained buying, you can wait for it to return to about 1,500. And he's had a pretty nice season, but not as nice as this guy right here. He's getting all the love. So this is the Refractor in a PSA 10 traveling upwards and onwards. So this is a card that I wouldn't be touching right now, because if you listened in the preseason, we touched it then. We bought one. So but yeah, now it's probably too late unless you're short term. This seems like a pretty interesting area here to take a shot, and then when he hits 62, gets his Triple Crown, gets his MVP, then maybe pull the trigger here. But right now it sets up favorably, but because the prices run so much, it'd be more of a shorter term play. And I think for everybody else, if you're not in, just maybe wait on that one perhaps. So Shohei Ohtani, not as good as last year apparently, and that's hurting his card prices here. So they're returning to an area where there's been some buying in the past here, but that trend does remain down, and the momentum remains low as well here. So tough to say what to do. You could take a shot, but what more does he have to do for his cards to get some love here? At least this particular card. So anyways, trend remains down on Ohtani, although risk reward, at least in the short term, sets up favorably. And Yordan Alvarez, who might be number 3 in that AL MVP race, sitting at the bottom of his range here. So we liked him for a preseason play here, and it worked for a little bit, and then it didn't work. And again, he's just out of sight, out of mind just a little bit here, but that sets up pretty nice, that Refractor in a PSA 10, so not the most expensive card in the world here. Justin Verlander, probably your AL Cy Young Award winner, the way he's come on. So there's pitchers that may have the under the hood, they may be a little bit more attractive, but that 17-4 record, first round bye for the most part. I mean, just the playoff push. It's probably going to Justin Verlander here. So a lot of sideways action here, and he's kind of sitting in the middle of that range. So not a screaming buy or anything like that. Guess we're going to market movers here, so I better widen the screen a little bit. They gave you that nice wide vision action here. So Max Scherzer, same thing, and this is the PSA 9 traveling lower. And again, it's just kind of range bound here, $150, and so kind of the price, it does get a little bit volatile, but it's been choppy. But now you're starting to get some more interest here. So when that happens, you get more buying, and the price moves become a little less dramatic. You don't get these swings for the most part. You might get a one-off here and there, but it won't be as choppy as this. So 150 is maybe your number, and for what he's done and what he's doing, and perhaps he has some some playoff heroics or whatever. It seems like that's just kind of the price. If it gets below here, it's just very quick. You got to be kind of lucky, I think, if you want to pull the trigger on that one here. Kristen Cassis, he's the Red Sox. He's playing, so he doesn't have a ton of plate appearance or anything like that, but he's actually doing pretty well. If you don't look at the batting average, because it's a small sample size, right? And so you kind of have to ignore the batting average right now, sitting at like a $190, but his BABIP's like 121 or whatever. But he's hitting with a little bit of power. He's got 133 weighted runs created, so for the most part, he's being productive. And this is a player with the Red Sox outside on mind, might be worthy of a target here, returning to a level. This is the Bowman Chrome draft autograph here, so returning to a level where Binding has stepped in, at least in the past, and so this is one of their higher rated prospects, Adley Rutschman. And so just to kind of point out, Adley Rutschman was a player that we looked at, kind of in the middle of the summer, said, he's up and he's really starting to play pretty well. He started off slow, and that was about a $300 or $350, $400 card, and now you're talking about nearly $800. And so a lot of those younger guys, while they're starting to perform well and people are noticing them, it's maybe worth a little bit of a shot here. Jose Altuve also playing very, very well this season here, so bouncing off of support. Astros are relevant, and maybe he is as well. So a little bit of a pullback perhaps. But from a longer-term perspective, if people are able to kind of forget what he did with the buzzer and the trash can, all that kind of stuff, they might have to get past that. He's really been a terrific player. This year's another terrific year here, and again, hasn't done a whole lot. You've had spikes here and there, but the risk reward does set up, kind of favorably. So you might be talking $10-15, either way, which in percentage terms is a big deal, but in monetary terms, not the end of the world here. But Altuve, player that should maybe always be on the radar here. Acuna, this is the bat down. Now, he had a couple home runs this week, but his return hasn't been, I think, what people are looking for the most part. And so his cards are being sold, and so I think the underlying skills, they haven't really changed. He's, what is he, 23, 24 years old, and he's put up, pretty decent amount, like 12, 13 wins or something like that. I don't even know. We'll look at him in more depth after the season here. Whatever. There are not a lot of people at his age doing what he's doing or what he's done. So he's got an advantage from coming up early and producing. But that continues to track down. It has broken this level of support here and continues to travel down. So keep an eye on that one. Maybe worth pulling the trigger, especially if it starts to get down. This is the PSA 9, I think, or something like that. So yeah, PSA 9. So I don't really have a price target, 500 to 400, or is that 600? So, if you had that range and it breaks down, $200 card sounds kind of crazy, but, if it gets there, man, for sure have that one on your radar, I suppose. So Josh Allen continues to travel upwards. Didn't win a game, but he threw for 400 yards, and that's all we care about. That's all we're looking for here. So a lot of buying in this area here, but getting rejected at the top of the range and coming off just a bit here. So, but there's a ton of buying, and I think, you're all right in buying it here. It's going to have some smaller movements, and the general trend is up if that's a card you are interested in. Lamar Jackson. Gosh, what more does he need to do to get some love here? So a lot of sideways action, traveling sideways, and it broke down, and now it's traveling sideways again. And so we're looking for a break one way or another at some point. Maybe he needs a 500-yard game or something like that. I don't know. T-Law, there's your player of the week. He had a pretty nice start. Also sideways action here. So in season, people are getting a little bit picky. I think for the most part, it's like, what do you want these guys to do here? So you maybe has to do it for a while or be extremely cheap or something like that, and then they're willing to push the prices up. But it's like, yeah, these guys are playing pretty well, and the market doesn't really care. So that's what we talk about when the market is truth. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy's playing well, I really like it, I'm gonna buy it. It's like, the market doesn't give a shit about your player. So Derrick Henry, market doesn't care about Derrick Henry. So had a pretty good week last week. Doesn't matter. Trend is down. Now you're in an area of support, kind of filling this gap area here. So we'll see if he can get it going a little bit. But there's a lot of buying in here. So maybe that leads to chasing as the volume starts to kind of pick up. Then more people interested, then maybe overwhelm whatever sellers are there. But for now, that trend continues to be down. Jonathan Taylor, first week was pretty good, and the last couple of weeks not so good. So he's traveling back down to the lower part of his range. I would imagine sooner or later he gets it going. Connor McDavid. Okay, hockey time here. 13-15, let's call it. I'm learning how to do the whatever they're called there, the chapters for you guys here. So, all right, sideways action here. Now he's at the bottom of the range, a very thin volume. So that trend remains down, but within a range. So you're at a pretty key level of support. Love to see it break this downtrend line, and then we can maybe make our way back up to the top of the range. But yeah, this seems like a let's see, 2,000, 2,000. Yeah, so yeah, those are K's right there. I'm like, $20? No, 2,000, 3,000. So sitting up nicely on risk reward, but again, that volume is not quite there. So if it leaks down, it could really happen fast. And if you see something at 2,000, like that might be a screaming buy for Connor McDavid. Austin Matthews, same thing, bottom range and starting to tick up a little bit on some pretty decent volume here. So volume on the way down, but you're starting to see it on the way up as well here. So risk reward is favorable as we head into the hockey season here. Leon Draisaitl, something like that. I never pronounce his name right. Here's your support zone, and we dipped into it, and now we are coming out and breaking out of this wedge here. So I had a pretty good season last year. Probably has another good season this year. Probably, if that's a card you've been interested in, this is presenting the best opportunity you've had in a while. Nathan McKinnon. Same thing, traveling down, you're in the support zone here, so now it's just kind of messing around and see if we can't push it up and out here like some of the other names. So, again, they return to the area of a lot of buying here, so we'll see if they can't get it going here as well. Kaprizov, a lot of volume, still down. So, if you're interested in this card, then go ahead, but don't expect rockets out of it or anything like that. That trend remains down, and it's a very, very slow grind. So, Jack Hughes. Bottom of the range here, and this has been worth a buy. So the trend is slightly up over the long term here, and again, it's been worth a buy when you get down to the bottom part of this range, and here we are again on this card here. But for the most part, a lot of slightly upwards to sideways action here. So all right, Cale Makar, trend is up here. It is broken it. We've seen that before, and it led to a quick snapback. And so there's been a lot of buying in this area, so that this card comes back in this area. It's like, all right, maybe it comes back down a little bit, but if this card you're looking for, maybe start to monocle this one. Just keenly look at it with one eye there. Just periscope it, telescope it, whatever it's called. Whatever. Here's a lot of buying. Getting there again, so... all right. Oh yeah, it looks like we're finishing up with a Star Wars card or two here. So Jedi a la Kurosawa, this is the Refractor in a raw version. Came out as a pretty expensive card, and now it's making some new lows. So I guess the Star Wars hype has worn off. I still think that's a cool card. I paid probably too much for it, and I don't care because I'm happy to have it and I like it. And yeah, sure, if I would have waited a long time, I could have got it cheaper, but I didn't want to. So, but if you've been waiting for it, this seems like time to start looking at it a little bit more closely. Find us on Naboo, another card that's a very classic image of Padme. That's in the Refractor, putting in some new highs. So not all Star Wars cards are created equally. All right, real world stuff that could have an effect on the card market. So we're looking at the dollar. This is not the dollar index. This is the trading instrument here, the UUP, not recommendation by any stretch here. We're just trying to make correlations to the card market, but sitting at the top of its range where we've been rejected a few times here, and it's starting to come off just a bit. And so a lower dollar, very overbought, and it's pretty stretched. So a lower dollar will have implications across the market here as dollars become cheaper, then everything else becomes more expensive relative to it. So if the dollar reverses and breaks down from here, then you could see asset prices across the board start to do well. Stocks. We're already seeing the bond market, kind of stabilize just a little bit, and that could translate down to cards. At some point, people will just have some more confidence, and they'll be willing to spend on some things here. So it's going to take some time to repair after everything that's gone on. And I don't know if you get so many people that we had, all the people that we had a couple years ago, rush back in by any stretch here, but you could start to find some level of support in the market. And we've seen that in certain cards here, but a dollar that's been really relentless. If that starts to reverse just a little bit, that could be a good sign overall. So again, that bond market's starting to stabilize. We've had our inflection points over the past decade almost here, and it was resistance and now it's support, and here it is again reversing right on that line here. So again, it's oversold, and the momentum remains down. So it doesn't mean like it has to stop on a dime and reverse here, but if the bond market stabilizes and the dollar starts to reverse a little bit here, then that could be a good sign for the card market. Bitcoin, we showed it at this level of support in the past, and it had a nice rally, and then it came back to test that again, but that momentum is starting to turn up. So we call that a positive divergence, starting to show a little bit of relative outperformance. So again, those risk assets, if they start to get going a little bit, then it could bring back those animal spirits, and again, kind of help the card market. And the S&P, the granddaddy, longer term, We offered some caution in January, and then in June, the first time it hit like that 3,600, we said, you know what, it seems like this is at least a temporary bottom. And then at 4,300, there was it was bumping up against some of its longer term moving average and trend lines, and we said, that's probably another caution area. We haven't really gotten a buy, since then. So, but it is kind of testing the midpoint of this channel since 2009. And so when we've had recessions in the past, this is where it stopped. All right, great financial crisis. Broke below that, the hedge funds blowing up in 2020. So people blame COVID for it, not quite, but whatever. Broke below it. So what kind of recession are we in? So I think we're different than the great financial crisis with the mortgages. I don't think you're gonna have mortgages blow up or anything. I think just people sit on their properties for the most part. This was a leverage event in a lot of hedge funds. I don't see that again. So is this far enough? So it'd be nice if we could stabilize. And again, a lot of assets that we have then they could start to perform well again here. So that momentum does remain lower, and some of the longer term indicators are going negative, which we don't see too terribly often here. So number of stocks that are below their 200-day moving average is very, very very high here. Very few stocks are above that, above those longer term moving averages. And this is also a sign of things kind of getting washed out. So, I don't know for sure. Who knows? It's time will tell on this kind of stuff. It's not a guarantee. This isn't a crystal ball by any stretch. We're just kind of getting a sense of where the market's at. But if we could throw all these things together and then maybe get a feel for what things are going to do, then, if you wanted to start dipping back into those higher end cards, then that could be if these start to do well, then that could be kind of an all clear to do that as well here. So anyways, that's what I got for you. Have a great rest of the weekend, and we will talk to you later. Bye.